Well, hello and welcome to my world, folks. Welcome to Talk Leadership with Cedrick. You know, everybody needs a little TLC, and I am Cedrick LaFleur, your host, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight. You know, Talk Leadership with Cedrick is where we focus on leadership and personal growth with business leaders, educators, and local thought leaders. Our goal is to introduce our audience to leaders who are making an impact with innovative ideas. You know, our guiding leadership principle is the law of consistency, which says motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going and growing. So you have to develop the good habits that lead to success. Just showing up is 80% of success. Some people just don't show up. So you can beat them out pretty easily by just consistently showing up. You know, the boss, Bruce Springsteen himself said, a time comes when you need to stop waiting for the man or woman you want to become and start being the man or woman you want to be. So tonight we have another dynamic leader with us who is consistently showing up. Now, you know, every week, every show, I like to do a proper introduction of our guest. So let me properly introduce our special guest tonight. Our guest is Dr. Jeanne Ford. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Well, I'm excited to have you on the show. Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Jeanne Ford. Dr. Ford is an executive director and a behavioral analysis consultant with the John Maxwell team. Through her business, J. Ford Equips, she provides services to school districts, businesses, and churches nationwide. As an educator for over 30 years, Jeanne has served as a teacher, a principal, an assistant superintendent, and district level director in districts as small as 300 to as large as 25,000. She later served as a regional director of migrant services and a leadership performance coach for school districts throughout Arkansas with the Arkansas Leadership Academy. Jeanne is endorsed in English as a second language specialist and a reading specialist. She earned a doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville to align with her passion in equipping and adding value to educational leaders. Jeanne has combined her knowledge and experience with school districts with the John Maxwell training and philosophy to provide system-wide improvement through building leadership capacity at all levels of an organization. She does things like workshops, seminars, keynote speaking, coaching, aiding your personal and professional growth through study and practical application. As I said earlier, she's also a DISC behavioral consultant, which allows her to conduct personality assessments and training that'll help you better understand and optimize your own leadership style for team effectiveness. So let's welcome Dr. Jeanne Ford to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So you have a very impressive resume, and I always see you online doing something, adding value to school districts in your area. So that's really what we want to talk with you tonight about. But, you know, so I read your bio, but our audience normally likes to also hear directly from you about your journey to leadership and how did you get to where you are today?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's easy to have an impressive resume when you're as old as I am. So I've been doing it for a long time. I am from South Arkansas, and you can probably tell with the way I talk. People say, "Where are you from?" So South Arkansas, El Dorado, and was raised there with that Southern mom and daddy. And mother always wanted me to either be a teacher or a nurse. She didn't make it through school herself. Daddy stole her from the flagpole during Pearl Harbor. She was outside saluting the flag at Strong Elementary School, and he came and got her and took her off and married her. So neither one of them were able to graduate. had to go back and get their GED. So education was so important for them, for their kids. They always wanted to add value to their kids and their kids to do better than they did. So mother really encouraged that. Mother and daddy did. I married my sweetheart. Well, I didn't know him very long. I knew him 3 days when he asked me to marry him. And then 8 months later, married him when I was 18. Yeah, he was 19 as soon as I graduated from school. And one of the things daddy said was, if you marry her, you've got to make sure she goes to college. And we had a little small college there, community college at near our house. So I started out there and didn't know what I wanted to go into. Started going into accounting and got into that and hated it, and went into other areas with business and didn't know what I wanted to do. So I dropped out 2 or 3 times. And finally, I just I realized that being around kids and all, and working with them, and when I did some volunteer work and all, that's something I wanted to do. So I went into the education field and got my bachelor's there at Magnolia at Southern Arkansas University. And my first job as a teacher was 2nd grade. And I thought, oh, I don't think I can handle those little ones. I wanted the older ones. But once I got in that classroom, I fell in love with them. And when they left for the first year, I cried all the way driving home because I lost my babies. But I worked with them a little while, and then I wanted to move up to some older grades because I knew that I wanted to be a leader. I saw things going on in the school, and I knew that I could influence more kids if I could influence teachers. And as a teacher, I just had that little 23 or whatever in my classroom. But if I could be a principal, then I could really help to influence all the kids. So I studied and got my principal's degree. And 6 years after teaching, I became the principal at that little school. And eventually moved on to a larger school, and then came on up to Springdale, Arkansas, which now is one of the biggest schools in the state, and served as assistant principal there. I've moved around a lot because I like to. I love change, and I wanted to get into the superintendency. So I started studying educational leadership and was assistant superintendent at Newport. I've been at several different schools as directors and things, and just knew that I loved being there. And I could see that the principals and the superintendents really didn't have a support system that they needed. We were so busy with State Department regulations and just trying to take care of our school with all the building and the things that are needed, that there was no growth except what we were required to do. And I just kind of felt burned out with that because I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. So I ended up on down the line a little bit, working with the University of Arkansas at an academy that trained or that coached principals and superintendents and leadership teams, and really was loving that job. But still thought there's just something that's not right. I'm just not really happy because I was placed at whatever school they wanted me to go to, and it may not have been a principal that really wanted to grow, or a superintendent that wanted to. It may have been somebody that said, we need somebody to go in there and work with them. And I really wanted to work with people who wanted me specifically to help them grow, and people with that growth mindset that really wanted to move forward. So I found out about the John Maxwell team. I'd been knowing John since in the 90s when he came to our church and talked, and read a lot of his books and just always admired him. But when I found out about the team, this was just a year and a half ago, I didn't know that you could train under his mentorship and become a coach and work with leaders. And so I started checking into it, and ended up, they assigned me someone that would help to guide me through. And I joined it and started seeing all of the support that was out there with the mentors, people that would help me with counseling, that were top-notch leaders in the world, and top-notch leaders in marketing and anything you needed for your business. And so I was doing that a little bit while I was still working at the academy training principals. And we found out that in December of this last year that we were going to lose our job at the university because it was a grant, and another university took it over. And so I had a choice. I could either go and find another job, or just dive into John Maxwell full time. And that was really scary because that's insurance and all those things that you have with a job I wouldn't have. And my husband and I prayed about it, and he said, go ahead, you'll never have another time like this. So I jumped in full force and haven't looked back. I went in full time this year. I've been with John Maxwell since May of 2020, but just this year, full force working with the schools. So that's kind of from where I'm from and where I am now.
Well, that is awesome, and I'm glad you gave the timeline, because it's going to help some other people who I talk to often, and they've been with the John Maxwell team for a long time, but they haven't gotten started. Right? They were always that fear would set in, and they're afraid to make that leap. Just take that leap of faith and say, you know what, I'm going to do it. And Paul Martinelli used to always say, I'm going to build my wings on the way down.
Exactly.
Right. That is awesome. That's going to help someone. So tell us, Jeannie, before we dive in too much on your story, tell us something interesting or fun about yourself.
Well, I rode a motorcycle to school when I was in junior high. I gave mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a horse. And I played lead guitar in a rock and roll band. So nobody would really believe that if they saw me.
So you rode a motorcycle to school in junior high. You gave mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a horse. And what was the third one again?
Played lead guitar. I've still got my Fender Telecaster in a rock and roll band.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, so that's definitely interesting and fun about yourself. So the question I have around that: did the horse survive?
No, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that. It was a newborn baby, and it was pouring down rain, and I tried my best, and it didn't. But oh well.
Yeah. Wow, that is interesting. Not many people can say that. Okay.
Not many people would do it. So
that's true. So it appears that you spend a lot of time in the school space, right?
Yes, that's nice.
And so my initial question was going to be, what made you decide to select that space? I may still ask that, but I know that was just your natural area because you worked in that space, right? But sometimes people work in a space and they say, well, you know what, I want to get totally away from that area. What made you decide to, I'm going to embrace this area and dive in?
I think it's because I had worked so hard on my degree and actually learning and getting that background. But for people who don't have that background, what I can say about schools is it really made me want to stay is when you are working with a leader, you are touching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, because that leader is working with the teachers and those teachers are working with the kids. So it's, if you're working with a company, you've got a leadership team and you can make a lot of progress there and have a lot of effect on people, but not like a school district. It goes all the way down to the kids when you're helping that leader.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree with that. So what separates your business from other businesses in this industry? Because, it's a pretty big space, right?
Are you talking about other people that go into the schools?
Well, just generally in education. I mean, not in education space, but in the leadership development space.
Okay. Even with the ones that go into the schools, so many of them are focusing on certain teaching styles or professional learning communities or something that's a statewide initiative, and they leave out the leader. The leader, that superintendent is so busy trying to take care of his or her principals and leadership team and all, that they don't have that opportunity to grow. And with the principals, I can remember when I was on principal, I was interviewing for another position, and they asked me who the gurus were that I listened to and I read about. And I said, I don't read about anybody because I don't have time between bus duty and all of the special education conferences and discipline and all. I don't have time to grow. And that was that kept me from getting that job, because you've got to make time to grow or you burn out. And so I've been able to see people leaving the industry because they're burning the candle at both ends and they don't take time for themselves and they don't know how. So when I go in, that's something that I love to do with them is say, let's look at your schedule. Let's find time just for you. And let's work on strategies where you'll be a better leader and bring up leaders to help you. And so that's my joy is really just working with them so that they've got that time to be the leader that they want to be.
Well, yeah, I absolutely like that. Helping people understand to create that space for them. So many people, not just in education, but in other careers as well, will spend all their time doing the job,
Right,
and not learning to help themselves grow and get better. When they find the time to do that, what they're going to ultimately realize is they can do the job more effectively and better if they find the time to grow themselves and their thinking and their thought processes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, what's been the best part of owning your own business?
Oh, well, my husband is too. He's a building contractor, and that was the scary part because there's nothing guaranteed.
Yeah.
But the good part is just my schedule. The best part is my schedule, and so I don't work every day. I mean, I may go to schools 2 days a week, or sometimes go to co-ops or whatever and do in service. But I'm not stuck, and I love change, and that's one of the things I said. I've worked for 8 different school districts plus the ones I've gone out and coached. I love change. So being an entrepreneur, you are changing the way you want to change every day. You can change who you work with. If something's not working, you can change it. You can choose your curriculum that you use. And it's been just a perfect fit for me. Love every bit of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, change is always good, and changing up, even if you use the same program, right? Maybe changing up some of the things that you do with it just to freshen it up. It gives you a reburst of energy as well. All right. So, connecting with youth is important in this time and in all times, right?
Right.
But why, from your perspective, why do you think connecting with youth is so important?
Well, these kids, especially right now with COVID, that have lost connections to everything. There's so many of the kids that have actually been in their homes most of last year and still some of this year. And they've got to have those connections. And just my big deal was building relationships with my kids and getting to know that kid one-on-one, and for that child to know that they've got somebody they can depend on, that there's a constant in their life, because so many of the kids that we get, they don't have that constant. We've got kids that live in the back seat of cars. We've got kids that mama may be working and they've got to sleep in the car at night because she doesn't want them to stay home alone. It's no fault of hers. That's all she can do, trying to provide for them. And we are the one security, that one secure place that child can come to and know that we're always going to be there. We're going to love them and help them, and they can trust us. And so we've just got to do that for the kids and the youth. They're what's coming up. They're going to be taking care of us when we're old. I want to make sure we train them right. We teach them empathy and understanding and love and respect, and we've got to love them first.
Yes, absolutely. Agree with that. It helps them also understand how to value themselves, right? And because you can't value somebody else until you feel value in yourself.
Right.
And yeah.
We've done an academy with called Student Voice, where we would take schools and they would come in with a group of children, and we would work with them on learning how to have their voice. And it would be productive to build leadership skills and to be able to talk with their principal or their teacher or help with their peers, just learning how to have that voice and say what needs to be said in the correct way and how to really get things done. So we've started teaching leadership when I was with the academy, and that's something I'm starting to work on now too, is actually with the schools, taking that group of kids, that little nucleus, and working with them, and then they continue to just, it's kind of like the, what we do with leadership, where you're training and then they train someone. It just keeps it multiplying. So that's what we're trying to work on. And I know, Cedrick, from what I've seen with you, you seem to be doing exactly that with your music camps and the things you're doing with kids.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. To me, it's important that we connect and relate to students and connect and relate through where they are. So, for
Right.
example, going into band, connecting with them where they are, and teaching them, going into with a football team, doing the exact same thing, right? You going into middle schools, then go to their level and talk to them to see what their challenges are, and then how can you help them get over those challenges, versus just trying to say, let me just give you a whole bunch of information.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to develop those relationships. One thing we used to do, and I did as a principal and assistant soup, is go on the bus routes and see those kids where they lived, what kind of environment they were in. And that really, a lot of them came and were so excited that we cared enough to just come and look. And when they came on the bus and saw their principal and their teachers and all, they were so excited. Some of them were embarrassed, because of where they lived. But to be able to connect and understand what that child is bringing to school with them, and hobbies and things that they're doing, learn something about them, learn the name of their dog, learn about their family and all, to where they've got that real connection with you. And it's not just school. You're not worried about what the student's doing. You're worried about that human being, not human doing.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. Absolutely love that approach. So how have your priorities changed since when you first started your business?
John does teach so much about adding value to others. And I think that whenever I wanted to start a business, my goal was this: how much am I going to make? Let's see what I'm going to do. Let's see how many schools I can have. Let's see how many superintendents want to work with me. And since I've been in the business now, I'm learning to stay smaller and really connect with the people I'm with, and try to really add value to them instead of, I'm trying to go deep and really learning. And I'm learning too with it. As I work with my school districts now, I'm learning so much when I bring it to them. And it's exciting to me to see a superintendent that says, hey, I bought this book of John Maxwell's, or I'm listening to this podcast, or to show me something that he or she is working on themselves that they found about leadership. So it's not about me. It's all about them. And I think before, just always thinking about going into business, it was about me, about what I could accomplish.
Yeah, I like that. You're going deep instead of just worried about going wide, right?
Yes.
There'll be opportunity to go wide, but go deep with in the school system. Yeah, I like that approach as well. And just because you get to develop then stronger relationships and greater bonds, whether it's with a teacher, a custodian, a cafeteria worker, a student, building that really goes a longer way. And life is cyclical, right? You may be working with a student today, and then they move on, and you never see them until 5 or 6, 7 years later. And if you build that relationship, you get to see then that the way that they've developed and grown, and then they also then gain greater appreciation for how you helped them to grow and develop, right?
And they don't forget. I've got some on Facebook that are my Facebook friends now that are in their 40s, that are police officers or stewardesses or doctors or whatever. And it's just amazing that they remember what you did for them. And I don't forget my kids. I mean, I'm sure there's some I forgot, but that was the greatest part of my life, I think, was working to make a difference with those kids.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So, excuse me. If I had a magic button right here and I'd hit ding dong, and there would be one of your clients walk in through the door. All right. And I'd say, oh, so you worked with Dr. Jeanne Ford before, right? Yes. So tell us about your experience working with her. What would they say about you and your service?
They would say that the first thing she did on her first meeting was bought us a big old bundt cake. It's called Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Okay.
And feed them and they will come. I've learned that. They know I've got energy and I truly like them. I mean, I go to them to have fun. When I'm working with a group, we're not going to do a sit and get or one and done. We're going to have activities and enjoy being together, and it's not going to feel like you're sitting down learning a lot. And what I say to them is, what I'm teaching you here, the way I'm doing it, take it back to the classrooms. Go teach your teachers to not have the kids just sit down and listen. Make it fun. And also, they would say that I do become a part of the school. I love my people. I would love to be able to go to all the ball games and things, but my schools are usually 2 to 5 hours away from me. I travel to go to them. And so I don't get to do a lot of those activities like that with them. But when I'm there, I really like making those connections and making developing real relationships with them, not just surface level.
Sure. That's awesome. Absolutely love that. What would you say has been, your biggest challenge during your entrepreneurial journey?
Biggest challenge. Well, just worrying about and trying to come up with the things that were a part of my pay before, like insurance and taxes and taking care of all of that. I'm not a C person who really, and with DISC, I'm not that C who's really good with numbers and all. I hate that kind of stuff. I'm an I am out there and having fun and all. Yes, so IS. So that's been the hardest part for me. And I'm probably going to have to get somebody to help me later on, but I'm just not making enough right now to do that. I want to kind of keep it where I am right now and learn it myself and then start bringing someone else in. But that's been my challenge, the logistics of it.
Okay. All right. And that's understandable. When you think about the I, the S, and the C on that scale, everything that you said to this point, leads me to that I for you. You like that newness, you like the excitement, bringing in the bundt cakes and all that type stuff, right? And people really embrace those type things. So that's awesome. So Jeannie, leaders come in all different types of packages with different strengths, right?
Right.
So what strengths, give us 2 or 3 strengths that you feel are important for successful leaders to have.
Okay. Just being through, going with schools for years and looking at this, if they don't have the strength of developing relationships, they're going to have a hard time making it. They have to have that strength to be able to communicate and connect with people. And you kept talking earlier about connecting. That is so important. You've got to connect. John says they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I had always said that to my teachers too. And it's the same thing for the way with employees. They don't care what you know as a leader if you don't care about them. So they've got to see that connection and feel that. The other thing is that integrity and trust. You got to, if you say you're going to do it. Listen to them and be that person that I don't know. It's just that good person that's not going to do anything to damage the reputation of the district or the organization. They just need that integrity is so important. So I think those are 2 of the top ones: the integrity and that connection, building those relationships. Got another job or they wouldn't have it, and if they don't need to be there. But if they've got some weaknesses, fortify it with your good people out there who can do the things that you can't do as well, so that you can be that leader you need to be.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, connections, Ralph Nichols, I think, is the one that said that the number 1 criteria for advancement and promotion in the workplace is effective communication, right? So you got to be able to connect. And we know that connection increases your influence in every situation, and that it's all about others and then trust and integrity. Without that, there's no leadership.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And what I like to tell people is, tell me someone that you don't trust that you're going to follow.
Right. It's not going to happen.
Exactly. Um, so, what strategies did you first use when you came into this marketplace? And what I want to use this for is to help educate someone that's out there that's listening that may be an entrepreneur. They may be
Right.
in a leadership development space. They could be on the Joe Maxwell team, right? But they're struggling with, what's my first step? How do I get into that space?
Right. After you've really decided that, I want to go into education, I've learned my John Maxwell material. Of course, we've never learned it all. We're learning continually. But when you've got a program or a book that you're going to present to them, a mastermind, or if you're going to do a workshop or something, and you know that, it's hard to just do cold calls with districts because there's tons of people calling them all the time. So the best way that I have found out is there are meetings that they have through cooperatives. A lot of districts are part of a cooperative within the state, and find out who those cooperatives are, or call that state department and find out when they're going to be having some in-service, and volunteer to do an hour session or a 30-minute session, one of the breakout sessions. Another way is go online and Google, and they have call for proposals that go out. Companies do, or organizations do this monthly. And like I went and I want to do something for next year for 2022, like in July. So I said, educational leadership, call for proposals, Arkansas. And it will bring up any of the things that are coming up, the conventions or the conferences or things that are coming up for education in Arkansas in 2022. And if you say call for proposals, it'll bring up if they're calling for one. And what that means is they are looking for speakers that will speak. You're not paid. You go, and you sometimes have to pay your fee to get in there and all, whatever the fee of the conference is. Some of them you don't, but you write up a proposal according to whatever their vision is for that conference. If there's some of the conferences are on, connections or leadership or whatever, but they'll have a title, and you work your proposal around that title or that strand that they're looking for. And the proposal means you'll just say, this is what I'm going to do. These are the audiences I need there. It's going to be for teachers, principals, superintendents, whatever. And they'll have little questions about how much space you need and all. And it's just usually like a little 2 or 3 page proposal that you send just over the internet. And then they will let you know. They have a committee, and they'll let you know within 2 to 4 weeks, usually, if you've been accepted. And if you've been accepted to present, then you will send them more information, and you would drive to wherever on that day and present at a breakout session. That's how you get your business, because you take your business card with you, you take your flyer, and when you put on you show them a good product, you show them, this is how I am and this is what I can do for your school. You're not trying to sell them right there. You're just giving them some good information to take back and use right then. And they will ask you, hey, do you ever work in schools or whatever? You've got your flyers there. That's how you get in. They have to see you first. Just calling them, cold calling, if they don't know who you are, they're not, unless you're very lucky and they're very desperate, they're not going to spend their money on you like that. They have to have seen you to know that you're credible and that you're good at what you do before they let those dollars go. So that's some of the best ways. If you have schools at home and you know somebody, a teacher or a principal or whatever in the schools, if there's somebody at your church that has connections with the schools, it's all about connections. Go to Rotary, do a presentation at Rotary, at Kiwanis Club. They're always looking for somebody about leadership, and then explain how you can do this in schools. There's going to be a superintendent or principal sitting at some of those. So that's what you do. Get yourself out there in front of them, and that's where you get your business.
That is awesome. And let me tell you what, folks, we might have to put her PayPal link up here, because she just gave you a lot of good information to get started in your business. If you're struggling, if you're stuck, if you're trying to figure out what to do, definitely listen, rewatch this. And I always want to remind you, folks, sometimes information comes to you and comes your way, not just for you, but for you to share with someone else, you to be the vessel to get it to someone else. So make sure whether you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, or you're on YouTube watching this live or the replay, make sure you hit the share button. You see, that's going to help that person get the information, and you'll be the vessel to get that information to them. We're talking to Dr. Jeanne Ford, and she is definitely dropping a lot of knowledge here for entrepreneurs, whether you're in the leadership development space or not. Just good information on how to do things and operate and get started in your business. So, Dr. Ford, we have a segment on the show called Would You Rather?
Oh.
So we're going to play a little bit of Would You Rather.
Okay.
All right. So would you rather meet your great-grandchildren or your great-grandparents?
I want to be around long enough to meet my great-grandchildren. I have 10 grandchildren right now. And so my oldest one is in college this year, just started at U of A. So I better be around long enough to meet my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather win the lottery or not have to pay taxes?
Well, I would win the lottery and then pay the taxes on them, because I'd at least get 46% or whatever from it.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
But I don't know that I don't know that I'd want anybody to know I want it, because there's a lot of bad stuff that comes with that. So, but you're talking about taxes forever, Cedrick? You're talking about not paying taxes
forever?
Hands down. I'd rather just take the lottery. If I didn't have to pay taxes, I'd be happy. If it works for my husband's business too. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to grandfather him in. So would you rather not eat dessert would you rather never eat dessert or never sleep?
Oh, I've got to sleep. Yeah, I am mean as a hornet. If I don't get my rest and all, it'd be horrible. Now, I'd probably be mean without eating dessert too. That would be rough, but I've got to have my sleep.
Okay, all right. And audience, remember, you can always play along with us. You can just put your answers in the comments and we'll pop it up on the screen. So would you rather fly to the moon or be invisible?
Oh, I'd love to be invisible. Would I have to stay invisible?
No, you can come back.
Okay, if I could be invisible when I wanted to and just pop in thing, I'd love to do that. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Remember, there was a show years ago. It was called The Invisible Man, and he could go invisible or be seen, right?
Yeah, I'd like that.
All right. Would you rather be a ninja or a pirate?
I think the pirates' costumes are cool, but they are mean. I mean, they're out robbing from people and stealing and all. And I think the ninjas are helping, aren't they? Aren't they adding value to people?
Yeah, they are. But they also, I like the ninja because they throw that star if they don't like you, and they can, hit you in the face.
Yes, I think a ninja. I think you have to be in really good shape. So I'd like to be in shape like that, like a ninja.
Okay, all right. That'll work. Would you rather be stuck on an elevator or on a ski lift?
Ski lift. I am terrified of being stuck in an elevator. I'm a little bit claustrophobic, so I could not handle that. I couldn't breathe.
Okay, so. All right, yeah. And I'd be scared to get on that ski lift because of all I can see is between me and the ground is just nothing. That's going to be a problem. Would you rather own your own private island or your own private jet?
Island. That jet's going to devaluate. I mean, it's going to go down in value, and that island's just going to go up with real estate. So plus just getting to go there and build a cabin and my family coming on and be there forever, that'd be perfect. So I'd take an island.
Yes, absolutely. So a couple more here. Would you rather run out of gas in the middle of nowhere or drive 100 miles in the wrong direction?
Drive 100 miles in the wrong direction. I'd find something to do. But if I'm in the middle of nowhere, I'm going to be scared to death. So that's not what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I've done the 100 miles in the wrong direction before and I learned a lot.
Okay. So would you rather share a room with your sibling or live alone?
Live alone.
So if you have a sibling that's listening tonight, just don't take it personal.
Right, right. I was a baby. My brother and sister are 11 and 13 years older than me, and I was the baby, and I felt like I lived alone anyway. So
Okay, all right, all right. So last one. Would you rather have $1 million in Amazon gift cards or $100,000 in real money?
oh, I'd take the million in Amazon gift cards and sell them for half price, and then I'd have 500,000.
They see,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would say too.
Right.
Yeah, I would be doing it just like years ago when they had those paper food stamps. People would say, "Well, I'm going to give you this, and you give me the cash." It would be the same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And plus, when you shop on Amazon, everybody shops on Amazon anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get to have a whole lot of boxes coming to your house.
Right. I could go ahead and spend the 100,000 from the Amazon 1 million and then take the 900,000 and get 450,000 from it. Isn't that right? If I sold them half price. So I'd really come out really well doing that. So yeah.
Absolutely. One of my guests kind of up-leveled me a little bit because I was thinking more about me with this spending this. And he said, well, what I would do is take the $1 million in Amazon gift cards and give them out to the needy. And I was like, you see?
I don't think he was telling the truth. I'd give him some of it. I would. I tithe and all. And but I'm going to pay some of my bills first.
Yeah. That's a good one. You're probably right about that. He's like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, people say that on when they're on screen. So
yeah, it's the right thing to say.
That's right. That's right.
And if he was married, his wife would quickly correct him.
She certainly would. Yes, she would. I can promise you that. Get that house remodeled first.
Exactly. So all right. So thanks for playing that round of Would You Rather. So so many times, and you've probably seen and heard this as well. So many times, new entrepreneurs want to give up. They want to throw in the towel. What advice would you give them to someone who's listening to this and they're right on that cusp? They're thinking, man, this is not working out the way I wanted it to be. So I'm just going to throw in the towel and give up.
One of my friends on John Maxwell team, I remember a few months ago, she came on and said, I've been doing this a couple of years and I'm just going to give up. I'm just burned out. I don't know what's going on, but it's not working. And that was a few months ago. I don't know what happened, but something clicked and flipped. And now she is doing great. So if she had quit then, she would have lost. I mean, she just would have lost everything she's put into it. So so she kept on, she kept going. And one of the things that one of our mentors, Chris Robinson, says is just do a little. What is it like? He said, learn a little, do a little, didn't he? Learn a little, do a little. Mm-hmm. And so every day, just keep learning a little bit, because sometimes I've been real discouraged about something. And if I continue learning, there's something in one of those books or there's something in that podcast or something that's going to spark a thought. And I'm going to think, well, that's something I could do with it. So as you learn and do, and you keep on, going and applying to speak at some of these places, make those connections, network. Get out there and meet people. Ask people, who do you know that I need to know? I think that's one thing that John Maxwell teaches us. You've got a lot of connections out there, and ask who they know that you need to know, because that one person may be the one that's going to keep you from going under. So don't give up. Just keep on. It gets really hard, but I've been down there. We all have. My husband's business went belly up in 2008. With the all of the drop and everything in the housing market, and we thought we were never going to come out of it. It took years, but we came out because we kept on and on and on. So do not give up. If you give up, you'll never know what you could have done, never know what you could have become. So just don't give up.
Absolutely. Well, thanks very much for that advice. I know that someone out there needs to hear that message, and I see it a lot where maybe it didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, Well, maybe that might mean you just need to change your strategy, change the plan,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you didn't even have the right plan at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then get around people who are doing what you want to do, and then do what they're doing.
Right.
Makes
I
all the
always
difference
think
in the
somebody
world.
smarter than you. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
There are times you will be, but you need to be with people that are out there moving and shaking. That's who you need to kind of look to as your mentors and your role models, and you need to just keep on. And if it's the wrong thing for you to be in, be realistic too. Is this your passion? Is this what you really want to do? Because if it's your passion, it's a lot easier to push it forward. If it's a passion and you're just eating up with it. If it's something you're trying because somebody told you to, or somebody else thought you needed to do it, it's really hard. If you are sinking or whatever, it's really hard to get that motivation to keep going. So be where your passion is.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So excuse me. What's one of the best things that's happened to you so far this year?
This year, as far as my business is, I went full force with John Maxwell in my business this year, so I'm brand new with it, and it's just, I mean, it has just snowballed. I never dreamed that it would start like this. I had my first contract before my job ever ended with the University of Arkansas, because I went and presented the leadership game. My boss said that there was going to be a superintendent symposium, and he said, I want you to come and do some of your John Maxwell stuff. And I said, I don't know enough about John Maxwell stuff yet. I need to work on it. And he said, no, you can do it. So I went there, and it was a retreat they were at. There were 15 superintendents there, and just met them and did like an hour of leadership training with them and all, and got my first contract from there. And it was to start after my job ended. So you've got to get out there and be seen and let them know what you have to offer. And you don't go in like you're selling it. I wasn't trying to sell anything because I didn't think I was good enough to do that. So you just got to go in and love it. Let them know that the value that it is going to add to them and what they can do. And I kept saying with leadership game, I said, can you see what this would do with your principals, and your staff and all, and how you can accomplish with your team. And we just talked about it like that. And they came up, and, that's where I ended up with my first client. So just get out there and do it. I don't even know what your question was anymore, Cedrick.
No, you answered the question perfectly. It's about helping people understand how that they really just need to get out there and do something.
Right.
Right? It may not be perfect. It doesn't
Right.
matter. You may not know all of the information. It doesn't matter. No one is expecting you to know everything. Right?
Every time I come back from doing a presentation, I change it. I say, oh, that didn't work as well as I thought it would, or I need to add this. I'm always tweaking it. It's never exactly where I want it. And I like it that way because I like to change and constantly be evolving. So don't worry about it. Get out there. And one thing I had to realize myself was, I don't care if there's 30 people out there or 200. If I only affect one of them, if I'm making a difference with one person out there, then apparently they were supposed to be there to hear it, and I was supposed to be there to give it. So that's the way I look at it now. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody. I've been turned down a lot with going to see about, working for someone. Not everybody's going to want you, but there is somebody that really is. So you just need to keep on till you find that person.
Absolutely. Keep digging, keep pulling, keep stretching, keep doing all of that stuff until you find the person that you were supposed to connect with.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely love that. So, two more questions for you. So, if our listeners wanted to get in contact with you, they wanted to follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I have my personal Facebook page that's just Jeannie Carroll Ford. And I mean, you can just look that up. And I have personal stuff on there, but I also put all my leadership stuff on there. I don't have anything personal that I would be afraid for anybody to see or whatever, but I do leadership quotes. And if I'm going to be speaking somewhere, I'll have that listed there because I'm friends with a lot of teachers and superintendents and principals. So I put it on there. My email is, and I would love if anyone wants to email me or text me or anything, talk with them, is J Ford. It's JFORD, equips, EQUIPS, at gmail.com. So J Ford, JFORD, equips, it's all in lowercase, all of it is, EQUIPS at gmail.com. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter, but I don't do much with it. I need to really get better at that. But you just look up.
And I put it in the comments, folks. So if you want it, all you have to do is copy it out of the comments section. So whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, and I'm going to go over right now and put that on LinkedIn as well, so that way you can click right on it and get it. So then you can stay in contact with her. So while I'm going to put this on LinkedIn right quick, that way it's there for people who are there now right before we end the show. Paste. All right, so that is now on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so one last question for you. If there was a book that was written about you, what would the title be? And what would the summary in the back of the book say about you?
I think so much of it is because I'm older and so many of my friends have retired and all. I would say you're never too old to jump. And that's what I did. I jumped. And it would talk about what I had been through and didn't have the just didn't believe in myself enough that I could do this on my own, and wanted to for years. And finally, when I got to this point and was God kind of pushed me, he kind of nudged me kind of out of the nest, I jumped and I built my wings on the way down, and it's working. So my friends that are retired and all, I wish them the best, but I will never quit. And so I'm doing now my dream. So you're never too old to jump.
I love it. Never too old to jump. That is awesome. We have been talking with Dr. Jeanne Ford of J Ford Equips. And let me tell you what, folks, she has dropped a lot of nuggets for you tonight. I want to make sure that you understand that this message may not just be for you. It may be for someone else. So make sure you share this message on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you tag someone on the message. She dropped a lot of knowledge here about just being an entrepreneur, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Then also, if you want to get into the youth space and get into schools, she gave you specific things that you can do right now. It doesn't matter. I'm going to make sure I say this very clear. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. She gave you some specific steps that you can take to get into a school right now. So, some people dream of success. We like to make it happen. So, Dr. Jeanne Ford, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm going to give it to you, see if you have any final comments.
Thank you so much, Cedrick. And if anybody's out there that wants any kind of help at all, I'm here to add value, and I just love it. So best of luck for everybody that's getting out there and trying it. Jump. Just jump.
Awesome. So Talk Leadership with Cedrick, as you know, is on every Monday night at 6:30 Central Time, every Tuesday night at 5:30 Central Time. You can catch myself and Joanna Rincon at noon on Wednesday for Cut the Cord. We're in the middle of a 10-part series right now. We're in week 6, so catch it to Wednesday at noon Central Time. We have Thursday at 5:30 Central Time, Talk Leadership with Cedrick Thursday edition, and Friday morning at 8:30 Central Time. We're going to come with you hard and heavy and fast with Friday mental motivation. So make sure you come for 15 minutes of pain. We're going to get you motivated, inspired, and excited about ending your week strong and starting your weekend even stronger. We're going to help you go from ordinary to extraordinary. The only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is extra. Now, for all you academics out there, I know the word is extraordinary, but I don't like that word. I like extraordinary. The only difference between winning and losing is belief. The only difference between hot water and boiling water is 1 degree. You see, at 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. With boiling water comes steam. With steam, you can power a train. The only difference between a person reaching their full potential and not reaching their full potential is desire. And you have to have all-encompassing, pulsating desire to reach your dreams, to reach your goals, to go to another level, to get new opportunities. And we're asking you to get outside your comfort zone and go be the best you that you can be every day, all day, and twice on Sunday. So as I always tell you when we leave the show, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and don't be on the menu. Thank you and good night.